Shame. It's a shame, and it should not be tolerated, but it is. Unfortunately, under Joe Biden, he is tolerating madmen and crazy jakes wandering around the streets. These people blow their brains out after shooting about 15 people, and it's just swept under the rug by the fake news, or they say it's some drug craze. They test the people, they have no drugs in their system. What do you call that, folks? What do you call it? I call it demonism. But what do you call it? I call it bad business. It's bad business, folks. That's why in the year 2024, we will begin to open up some of the oldest and most unique. They're going to be unique. These insane asylums, they've been closed for some of them over 100 years. And but they're going to be unique, beautiful, restored in their full capacity. You're going to be able to go to work right away with these crazies. You're going to be able to go in there. You're going to have the electroshock theater. We're reopening electroshock theater because, I mean, it worked back in the day. If you look at the math, do the math, there was less crazy people wandering the streets of America when we could shock their brains back into order. We shock their brains. You first they take an ice cold bath. We put them down. I mean, ice cold, folks, ice cold bath. And while they're shivering and they're shaking, you put them in the electrode theater. You strap them down because they're going to flop. They strap them down in the electrode theater. They place the electrodes to their head. And then there be a gentleman to the side. You know, the doctor makes sure everything's okay and the patient is calm. They have to be calm for the proceeding. And then after they calm down, their heart stops beating from the cold shower. They shock the shit out of them. And then they ask them a series of questions. If they start answering those questions in a way that makes them look crazy, they get shocked again, folks. And that's how you beat this craziness that's going on. It's a virus. It's a disease. It's a virus that I don't believe that anybody wants to deal with. I don't want to deal with it during my presidency, and I'm not going to.
Donald Trump is always talking about things in which he does not know. Donald Trump doesn't know everything there is to know about what's taking place on Capitol Hill right now. He doesn't know anything about what's going on in the woods right now. He is a propagandist to the craziest order. He belongs to an order of Jesuit devil worshippers or something. There's something going on with him. I can't put my finger on it, but I'm gonna spitball everything possible that's bad until something sticks, because I can feel it in my bones. There's something going on with him. I don't trust him. I never have. And I remember this one time. It was the only time we're probably friends in life. Me and him, and Corn Pop came back into the equation somehow. And he had made friends with Kane from that show Kung Fu. And it was one of the worst fights I've ever been in my life. Trump was there. We were back to back. And before you know it, he turned to rend me, and then they jumped me. And they said I was no longer in their gang. And this was gang warfare back then. These kids these days don't know anything about gang warfare. We would get a straight razor and chip it and bend it and then leave it in a bucket of rainwater out in the sun so it'll rust faster, and let's let the shit out of somebody with it. I mean, we did look like Al Capone, scar right across their face. You can't do that these days anymore. People aren't as tough as they were back when I was. And even now, at 81 years old, I'm young and virile. If Corn Pop was here, I'd box his ears. Muhammad Ali and Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan and Mike Tyson, cloned by seven times over, couldn't handle me back in my heyday. I'd laugh at them. I'd pull up at one of those beach chairs at the swimming pool I worked at, and I'd sit back and I'd watch them try to fight me. I moved that fast. I could watch the fight and be participating at the same time. That's how fast I was. We made it different stuff back then. Different stuff completely. But you young punks here in the audience, and the ones that'll, the millions upon millions, probably billions, that will listen afterwards, y'all don't know anything about that because y'all didn't come from that world. You come from a world of privilege and video games and mobile apps and TikTok, and you really think you have something special doing, but a light breeze is going to put you in the hospital in traction. You'll be eaten from a tube if you step off the sidewalk the wrong way and trip and fall. Lord forbid if you miss the grass and hit concrete. You hit that concrete, you'll have 80 of your closest friends carrying you by the handles. You don't know tough like I know tough.
I guarantee you, 98% of the crazy people will be off the streets. in the year 2024. And then they say, oh, well, Trump only promised 98% because the rest of them are on Capitol Hill. And they have enough political juice where somebody can say, oh, well, they're normal. They got doctors that'll vouch for them being normally, but they're not normally. They know they're not normal. These people are sick. They're sick scumbags. The only way to beat these people is to reopen those facilities, folks. And I know a lot of people say, oh, well, there has to be an alternative method. Why does it have to be? There is no alternative method. It's the only way. I wish to hell there was another way, but there's not.
I'm Joe Biden. Machine Gun Joe, they call me. So I suggest whatever I do, or whatever I'll tell you to do, you go ahead and get it done, and you do it quick, fast, and that's in a doggone hurry. Especially you blacks. Give me all you got! Listen, give me all you got!
Brother Merle, I think, and it's just me talking, I think that was probably the most epic intro I think I've ever made.
It was pretty good.
It was crazy. I was wondering how many people I could like weed out, because the ones that stayed they're down with the Brown, they're down with the BDRP. That was a lot of that was a long while of my type of crazed humor. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the BDRP Late Show. I'm your host, D. Doss, and I'm the Baron of Bigfoot, of course. I'm joined by my friend, my brother, and brother-in-arms. Let's welcome back Mr. Merlin 187. What's going on, Merle?
Getting over a sore throat.
And for you praying folks, for you brothers and sisters in the faith of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please send one up for Brother Merle. He's I'll just tell you a little bit about it. I won't go too far into it. We were going to do a show. What was that? Sunday night? Saturday night. And he felt just fine. It was within the time I hung up with you, 3 hours and 15 minutes later, I believe it was. Like you had no voice whatsoever.
Yeah.
Congested. Sounded like flu. You had the flu, bro. Now that you're getting better, I'll just say it.
I had no voice at all Sunday.
At all. So God is good, every day. But folks, I'm glad that we didn't, because we get to bring you this show. The conversation came up about these triangular UFOs that they're as big as skyscrapers and they just float. And not only in rural areas, but above cities. And Brother Merle hit me to something. Now, y'all hang on to your socks, because, and I want to drop a 1 if you have this information previous, because I didn't. It sent me to Trip Out City. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a patent for the triangular UFOs that are as big as football fields. You see them in videos all the time. You've read on the blogs and seen YouTube videos where many, many people, good, honest people, have seen these things. Well, like I said, Brother Merle's turned me on to the patent. I think y'all should be able to see it now. This is a patent for a high-frequency gravitational wave generator. It's got pictures and everything. Now, you folks see this sketch right here, possibly. It'd be really small on your phone, but let's see if I can maximize it. This drawing right here is your triangular UFO. It's showing you how the bad boy works. Don't you know? Ladies and gentlemen, that's madness. Can I read this to you? A little bit of it. I know it's pretty wordy, but Mainline Mitch knew it. There's not a lot, though. Not a lot of people. And rightfully so. It only came out in, what, 2017?
Something like that.
But in 2017, the United States military saw fit to put a patent. And now they didn't make commercials for it or advertise it in any kind of way, of course. But there it is for anybody who wants to see. So I'm going to throw it back up here and read a little bit of it to you. Because, wow. Makes you think about those congressional hearings and stuff that they had, too. That big dog and pony show. Though it was significant, they told on themselves. Doggone it. There we are. Put up the wrong screen for you. Sorry, folks. All right. High-frequency gravitational wave generator. The abstract is a high-frequency gravitational wave generator, including a gas-filled shell with an outer shell surface, microwave emitters, sound generators, and acoustic vibration resonant gas-filled cavities. That seems important, Merle.
You'd think.
Acoustic vibration resonant gas-filled cavities. The outer shell surface is electrically charged and vibrated by the microwave emitters to generate a first electromagnetic field. There you have it right there in black and white, folks. This thing emits its own its own electromagnetic field, right? Like it generates it within itself. That's ooky spooky, bro. Makes me nervous.
Yeah,
acoustic vibration. Yes, it has its own gravity, which it can manipulate from within the cab, right? Or within the cabin. The acoustic vibration resonant gas-filled cavities each have a cavity surface that can be electrically charged and vibrated by acoustic energy from the sound generators such that a second electromagnetic field is generated. The two acoustic vibration resonant gas-filled cavities are able to counterspin relative to each other to provide stability. So I'm a very visual person. I'm seeing this in my head. You know what else this is confirming, Merle?
What's that?
That Tesla was right. What were the three things he said unlock the keys to the universe? Or were the keys to the universe?
Frequency.
Frequency. The three different types. This is madness. The two acoustic vibration resonant gas-filled cavities are able to counterspin relative to each other to provide stability. And propagating gravitational field fluctuations are generated when the second electromagnetic field propagates through the first electromagnetic field. And that's the diagram that we see right here. Description.
Sharing the screen. You might want to take a look at it.
Say again?
I'm sharing the screen. You may want to.
Yeah, for sure. Is that the right one? There we go.
All right. Can you see what I'm showing?
Yes. Can you guys see that?
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. That is showing you the patents, and that line triangle shows you how it works. There's a picture. There's a real
breaking
computer
up real
generator. That's a real picture there. You see the cursor on it?
Can you click on it and maximize it?
Let's see. I'm thinking that is mine.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah. Hold on.
No, just like one of the that first picture, the first. This is crazy, bro. So let's see where the folks in the chat. Were you aware of this type of? Go ahead,
These are
brother. I'm sorry.
drawings from the patent.
Yeah, let's see if I can help maximize it on my side. That's super small. I don't think they can blow it up at home.
I'm clicking on it.
So there's a lot of people who I've talked to since I've had a YouTube channel who have seen and even filmed these large triangular UFOs. And the spooky thing about them to me was always how they would just float like a balloon with no wind. They just float, and they were massive. So there was a lot of theories where they some sort of helium field, fugazi. You remember back in like 98, 99, 2000, all the speculation about these things. Electro frequency and vibration. They say that's how they actually move those massive blocks to build the pyramid. Because anybody who's got a brain knows that they didn't use no pulley system.
You see this one, Navy patent sound weapon? I mean, they've got all kinds of stuff they've had for a long time.
My whole thing is, why haven't they have all this stuff. Why not use it? Why not use it in more than just scaring the shit out of people who live in rural areas?
Well, they did.
Well, now I know they did after our conversation offline. It makes a lot of sense. They've been using this thing since we brought the Nazis over. Is what it seems like to me.
Well, like I told you, you remember Reagan came out there and said, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. And then they got pictures of that black triangle flying over Belgium.
They got pictures and videos.
There's a reason they couldn't do ticker takes down the street with these things. That was highly classified. We were in a Cold War.
Well, and we were talking about Operation Paperclip. The Russians took some of those Nazi scientists on Operation Paperclip too, but they must have gave them the drugs, bro.
Them Nazi scientists.
Huh?
It didn't take those Nazi scientists.
No, they didn't take any.
They got with the rocket guy.
Yeah, and they still didn't manage to do anything.
I don't know. They had a pretty good space program.
Yeah,
they were the ones making all the clubs and things like that.
Well, they started back in the early 50s too, when they sent that woman to space.
They were willing to burn a lot more bodies to get there.
Yeah, before that they sent dogs and monkeys and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, they were willing to burn more bodies. They were all the time sending somebody up in space to be burnt up on re-entry. And if you haven't ever listened to it before, folks, I don't suggest you do. It's the audio of that woman that they sent up there, bro. It's terrible. Like, you can hear it. She said something's wrong. It's hard to breathe. And then she finally gets through the atmosphere, and she's burning up by this point. She's like, I'm burning. Y'all have killed me. And she's dog cussing him and starts cussing him in Russian. It was sad.
I think I know what's wrong with our sound.
What's that?
You're not wearing headphones. You're using a speaker, ain't you?
No. Folks, we'll take a little break and be back after. I'm used to going to the men's meetings, bro, because I guess y'all don't get that feedback when it's over that.
No.
Now for a few words from our sponsor.
Well, I sure would like a cigarette.
Well, why don't you bust out a Dawson?
Dawson, that's right. Your favorite.
Dawson cigarettes. That's right, Dawson cigarettes. Nothing beats a Dawson except a possum.
I wish you would stop smoking the damn cigarettes.
Hey, your wife said stop smoking. Didn't you know these are health aware? The doctor prescribed me these. See, this is what happens when you let women vote and go to work and wear pants. They start going cuckoo-cuckoo.
That's right, Vaughn. You tell her. That's right, honey, you heard him. Hey, what's this?
All records recorded in Oklahoma City at the Supernatural Studio. Yes, at BDRP Supernatural Radio, you'll have art news recording artists like Merle the Pearl.
The best days in a life are free, but you can get up to the bird and bees. I see forever. That's what I want. Guess what I want.
And of course, hot new young recording artist D.D. King.
Your love give me such a thrill, but your love don't pay my bills. I need more.
Your host for the evening.
All right. We're back now.
Much
Can you hear
better.
me? Much better.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that. That was a technical snafu on my part. Or actually, our new sound engineer, whose name I forget.
Yeah, it's all
So
his
we're-
fault.
Yeah, it's all his fault. So where were we? And that's,
We
folks,
were
was
just talking about them flying things. how
the
they
early
used
show
them.
advertisement. We forgot to advertise the early show, like after that Dawson cigarettes commercial. Make
Oh,
sure
yeah.
you stay tuned at some random time during the day for the early show with Merle and I. Only here on BDRP Supernatural. So, the flying triangles in wartime. We've been using them since the 1950s. I mean, we were doing stuff to them over there in Korea, like as far as the sound weapons and everything, and
Yep.
Vietnam. Did we use these things on them?
Of course.
Why not? Like, I don't see a time where it's not necessary to bring out some giant triangular spacecraft with a crazy payload on it.
Yeah. They had to scare the crap out of people for proof of concept.
I don't understand why we just don't put two American flags right there at the very tip, a little bit about 8 feet away from each other, and play the national anthem over every country on planet Earth and let them know what's up. That's what I would
Well,
do.
how many of our allies will be us to hand over that technology to?
Well, we'd fly it over their country too. And we'd play their anthem. That's how you handle that. And we'd say, we lost, just like we lost the technology to go to the moon, right? Say, oh, we lost it. We lost that technology, folks. Sorry, allies. Y'all can't
I got a
have this
better
awesome-
idea. What if you just fly higher than an atomic bomb and don't say a thing about it? You say, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's that option. You fly silently over in this giant building. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Well,
bro.
you know, there was stories about it. People forget the first Gulf War that Iraq had the largest standing army in the world and the most well-equipped army in the world. They had more tanks, more jets, everything. It was something like 1. And they
I
just,
still thought they were number 2
oh, no.
behind us.
No, I don't think I know for a fact. I was alive. Matter of fact, I missed the Gulf War by less than 6 months.
Damn.
The dude that I was on join on the buddy system with didn't miss it. He went. They had no problem with telling him, oh, that's the largest standing army in the world.
Remember that Republican National Guard?
Yeah.
We're talking about them too. That's when we thought we were going to run into all this trouble because
Well, it wasn't Republican now, but it was the Republican Guard. They were like
Republican Guard.
the Secret Service. They were the Delta
they were
Force
badasses.
of the Iraqis.
and there was a
Yeah, they were
ton
the
of-
Delta Force.
Yeah.
Mhm.
When we got to Baghdad, they said that that's when the war would really start. That those guys were going to give us what for, and they stood down in what, a day?
Well, you know that our government trained.
Yeah.
They were trained by Delta Force.
Well, Saddam. Well, I don't know how much. allegedly Saddam Hussein was put into power by America.
Allegedly, my behind. The
No, I'm just doing
CIA
that for
put
sake
him
of
in
argument.
power.
Of course they did.
The one,
Just like they
we're
did
the ones
Muammar
that gave them
Gaddafi
their
and-
chemical weapons. That's where they got all them chemical weapons was from us.
It's crazy how forgetful people are in just a short amount of, you know what I mean? That's not too long ago.
No kidding.
I bet if you ask a 16-year-old
cameras,
kid,
they went in there and had of the dang crates of the chemical weapons with U.S. Department of Defense stamped on the sides of the crates. U.S. Army, U.S.
Wow.
Department of Defense on the sides of the crates. They blow the whole place up, and all the chemical weapons detectors on the tanks for something like 10 miles start going off. And all these guys come home and they're sick and they don't know why, and they have this thing called Gulf War syndrome, and they said, "Oh, you got that from cockroaches." While he's over there,
yeah,
for the first 10 years, they said, "You're just a malingerer. There's nothing wrong with you." While they're
They said
dying with cancer and a
they
craziness.
said they're what? A malingerer?
Yeah, kicked them out of the
Wow.
army. Called them
That's
malingerers
crazy.
and kicked them out of the army, and then said that well, they are some of them, and yeah, they gave it to their families when they come home, but they caught it from cockroaches while they was over there.
Cockroach's ass.
Yeah,
Bro, there was so many chemicals and stuff that those men were exposed to. And chemical weapons.
yeah, sent them over there with like 30, 40-year-old mop gear that was dry rotted. They had to patch the holes in it with duct tape.
Well, the last time we ever had before that, we had a large mass move of troops was what? Nam? Or when we left Cambodia? So that was a few years removed from, I think we thought we were just going to go, well, the American people and the soldiers probably thought we were just going to go over there and stomp their ass off. Even though
That's
had
not
large
what people
military.
thought. I'm going to tell
We
you right
still
now,
do.
I was alive back then, and I can tell you what people thought. We were worried.
No
Everybody in the world knew they had the largest standing army. We thought it was going to be the end of the world, is what we thought.
kidding. Well, my brother.
Then,
went,
all of a
like,
sudden,
he talked
3
a lot of
months.
shit, though.
3 months in, it was over, and we were like,
Yeah.
"Wow, we're all impressed as hell."
I remember talking to my dad, who would talk to my brother, and I was a kid. I didn't have a adult mind to understand what he was saying about it all. I remember my mom being worried a little bit, but you know, that's what moms do. But my dad would talk to him just like he would any other time. Like, "You all right, boy? All right, bye."
Well, that's what
He didn't hang
dads
up-
do. Sons
Yeah.
go off to war. You don't, scare the shit out of them.
The only time I talked to him, I remember him sounding happy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, well, it turned out to be a big nothing burger. I mean, by
Because
the
we were
time they
flying-
got over there, the guys are on their knees. When we surrendered, they was flying over things, hitting them with them weapons.
they got flying buildings that are moving at 3 miles an hour and then taking off at 20,000 miles an hour.
Hitting them with them sound weapons, projectile in the sky, telling them they got to surrender and all this stuff. It scared the crap out of them dudes. They was
Yeah,
begging
they
to
were
surrender.
they were hitting them with them weapons that are projecting stuff in their minds.
Yeah,
We probably lit their ass up with everything we had.
of course
As far
they
as that
did.
psycho, what do you call it?
George Bush hated
Psych-
him. He owed him something like $3 billion personally from his oil company, and
Allegedly.
didn't want to pay him back. Allegedly, my behind. That came out. That's been declassified.
Has it really? Well, this has been
Yes.
declassified, so I mean, it don't surprise me. Because this is madness. And for the folks that want if you think old Dion just whistling Dixie, could you, well, the first half of that show, was it bad? Am I going to have to take this down and then repost it? And fix the sound or whatever, Merle? What are you over there stirring? A shake?
I think it'll make it ice
Think
water.
it'll make- You need one of those shakes, man. Made with Bluebell
Oh,
ice
yeah.
cream. For
Well,
real,
I
cool
probably
your
will
throat.
before the night's over. But why settle for a shake when you can have a chopped malt?
Yeah, malts are better. What am I talking about malts and shakes for? With no ice cream in the freezer. I remember my cousin went and my aunt was glued to the TV, scared to death. Like I said, that's my mom, but I think that was everybody and their mama.
We
You know what I mean?
realized that there was a possibility That was going to be World War III, the World War, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
The
I remember my dad
Raleigh
watching it
come
with my mom
down.
for. I remember Dad watching it with Mom for a while, but you remember he was a paratrooper, so that lasted maybe a couple of weeks, a month at the most.
Yeah. Well, I mean, real quick into it, within just a couple weeks, we could see that right they were surrendering. Thousands of men come to one guy saying, "We surrender, we surrender."
Well, shit, yeah, they surrendered. I mean, let me tell you
we
something.
were like, "Wow, what they got?"
Yeah. If I was
And
a
then
part of that
stories
army,
start coming out about the flying footballs, and I listened to them, the steel rain they called it.
they call it what?
Anti-personnel. They called it steel rain. They dropped these basically thermobaric bombs above them that would blow and fragment hot steel shrapnel into them.
Mm.
And I mean, they'd take out people like nothing anybody'd ever seen. These dudes didn't want none of it. They were like, damn this.
Then we were using MK Ultra everything on their ass,
Yes.
blasting them with sound and projecting things in their mind, probably poisoning their water with psychotropic drugs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like you said, we were outnumbered however many to one, so.
They hit them with everything they had. There was a story close to the end of the war. Steve Quayle used to tell this, and there's been other people told it. And I have to say it, I didn't want to believe it at the time, but I have to give it some credibility now with some of the stuff I've seen. They were saying that he didn't have a trigger to a nuclear weapon, that they knew that he had a nuke, but they didn't think that he had the proximity fuse for it, right?
Right.
And all of a sudden, he had on his holding one up, showing it to everybody. Don't think I got one? What do you think this is, right?
Dang.
Well, later on that night, this is what I'm saying. There were some special forces magically appeared in his bedroom. Just like off of Star Trek or something. They just kind of beamed on in there. And said, "Hey,
what were you saying about
you're gonna surrender?" Yeah, that's a propulsion system. That's that patent for that generator I just showed you is torsion field physics.
Bro, your computers or your voice is doing that one thing it used to do, the R2D2 stuff.
It probably is. My throat's not doing so well.
It's not your throat. You sound great. It's that it's lagging a little bit. Is that just me, or is everybody seeing him?
There's nothing I can do with it. I mean, there's nothing pushed on here that ain't supposed to be.
Zephaniah, how's the sound? He's somebody who'll answer quick. Knows it. Yeah, because this is we haven't even scratched the surface. We hadn't talked about your boy, old the guy at Dolce that they shot with what was it? Yeah,
Bill Schneider.
They messed that dude up, bro. They jacked him up bad.
Yeah.
Vault says we sound good. Thank you, Vault. What's going on, bro? Vault snuck in here on us.
Yeah.
Snyder.
But yeah,
I mean, man. Everything Snyder said was the truth. That's crazy.
I mean, it is what it is.
And the
dude didn't have but one hand that had digits on it, and it only had a few on that one. There's no way that he plastic catheters around his neck and tied them in a knot, pulled them tight enough to strangulate his bind, and tied them in a knot and committed suicide, and then duct taped his hands to the chair. I just don't believe that.
It took his knuckle off when they shot him. I'm still stuck on how they shot him. It took his knuckle off, and it was down like right there. And it was so smooth, it looked like he was born that way. From those missing digits he had, that's what really got me. And then he showed the wound on his belly. I've never seen a wound like that before. I was a younger man, and I've seen some stuff since then, but nothing like that. It did look like he was shot, and then it seared closed with whatever shot him.
Yeah.
There were so many detractors and stuff for that dude. I felt bad for him. But as time went by, you start seeing people say literally the exact same thing he was saying about Dolce. And then, like you said, they murked the shit out of him. And they tried to say he committed suicide.
Try to say it. That's what they said till this day.
I'm pretty sure, bro, on one of those meetings or things that he did where he had, a large crowd of people, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that cat said that he has no intention on committing suicide. He's not a suicidal person. And if he did, if he did commit suicide, somebody needs to look into it.
Not only did he say that, he pulled up his shirt, showed a bullet wound that wasn't that old, where they said they tried to take him out just a couple weeks before. And the dudes that helped guard him, one of them died getting him out of there.
Died or was killed. That's crazy.
Died in a gunfight, protected. One of them was sitting there exchanging fire with him while the other two was getting him out, and they killed that dude.
Bro, could you imagine? I told you I had nightmares about that event that happened when he was lowered down underground. He said it went down I don't know how many levels, and when he flashed his flashlight, he said there was the white alien things, and they moved their hand in front of their stomach, and he said when they did that, his stomach and guts just blew out and seared back closed. I was like, oh
yeah.
Snap.
He said it opened him up like a fish.
Yeah, and seared it closed. And he said it was like white hot blinding pain. The description that he gave, I'm telling you, it seared in my mind. And when he at the very end of it, when he lifted up his shirt to show, it's hard to deny,
I showed that video to my uncle back in like 2007, and they were laughing. And I told everyone of them, I said, I'm going to tell you something. You know where I used to work. You might want to listen to this old boy, because I know some of what saying is true.
Yeah. Sorry, Chad, I'm not ignoring y'all at all. Let's see. Sounds great now. Bro, I did ask. Wow. Yeah, we're gonna have some of the characters in there.
Yeah.
It's all good. Anybody with the wrench, you don't need my permission, by the way. But yeah, bro, that's crazy. That wasn't even the only patent that you showed me. Like most of the big UFOs that everybody sees have a patent number and belong to the United States. One thing we do disagree on, somebody else has to have this technology. They have to.
Well, they do, but it's not the Russians or the Chinese, it's the Nazis.
Well, the Nazis are that's us. Not saying that Americans
It is and it ain't. It is and it ain't. Now, Hitler and Mengele and all them went to South America. They didn't bring them in here. And
That's
then
true.
you got that stuff that was going down there in Antarctica, where some of them Nazis went down there.
In the 50s. Yeah, you're right.
And high jump, all that stuff. So, yeah, there are other people that had it. The Nazis forced us into a peace. You can still look up the video of it, them things flying over Washington, D.C. in the 50s in a Luftwaffe formation.
That's crazy too, bro, because that's real. Like, I remember being in high school.
It happened for over a week. Every night for over a week. Yes. Call it the DC flap of the 50s. And they were flying in the exact same formation the Luftwaffe used.
Have you seen that footage of when they were over there in Nazi Germany flying those things? I mean, somebody told me it was fake, but I know about film, and this, bro, if this is fake, then George Lucas helped them fake it. But it shows those flying saucers, like, kind of hovering onto the scene and then shooting off. It's like they were there and they disappear, and you see like a brief streak of silver.
Do you remember that George Adamski dude wrote that book back in the 50s? He has moving pictures in black and white of flying saucers coming to his backyard.
What?
Yeah.
Is this online right now?
I'm sure it is. If you look hard enough, you should be able to find it. Shouldn't be hard to find at all. Adamski, George Adamski.
George Adamski. Is he the one that talked about that Thor Larson or Larson Thor or whatever his name was?
Get Thor. He may have. He may have. There was a couple of them. There was a George Adamski. One of them, his name was something Van Tassel. George Van Tassel.
Van Tassel.
I think he was the one talking about Valiant Thor. But both of them had pictures and or film, moving pictures in black and white of those UFOs coming. They was manipulating those little ball things that's on the bottom part of the ship. You could see them moving up and down.
Wow.
He wrote a book about it. Then you've got Philip Corso, the guy that was the head of he was the guy stationed in Germany that was over our nuclear artillery in case World War III kicked off. He wrote a book about when he was head of the, they called it the Foreign/Alien Intelligence Division. Like if a foreign crashed onto a battlefield, they'd take it and try to, back engineer it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he told stories about them, about the Roswell crash, how they took the fiber optic lines out of it and the computer chips, stuff like that. And he took them to Dow Corning and all these other corporations. And they run it through them instead of the military because they didn't have to apply. They didn't have to respond to FOIA requests. And they didn't have to give in to congressional oversight. So they took it out of the military chain of custody. It was a technology transfer.
Honestly, that's what I do. If I were in the position,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Why not? Like all you got to do is do a little glad handing and
Yeah, as easy as our Congress and senators are to buy,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
didn't have no choice. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Think about the Rosensteins that got handed off the atomic bomb to the Russians.
Yeah.
They got that from a congressman.
You really think that was the Rosensteins that did that?
Yeah, they were convicted and given I think they gave them the death penalty.
Yeah, both of them rode old Sparky. Yeah, they killed the shit out of them for that. Well, I mean, they were communist traitors and spies.
Yeah,
so,
and we had people sitting in Congress and on our Senate that was too. Don't make no mistake with that.
Oh, of course
they did a GAO thing.
Joseph McCarthy, bro. Joseph McCarthy wasn't just some sort of crazy person. You know what I mean?
No.
All those accusations he was launching, and there was none of them valid. Come on now.
You can look it up right now. There's a thing called the Venona cables. These were declassified. Yeah, Venona. Vanonna. I think you spell it. Venona.
Man, I the one time in months that your voice is doing this is like when I'm the most excited about a show.
Well, this would be the time it would do it.
Yeah.
But you can look up the Venona cables. And those were declassified in the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was cables going back and forth from the Soviet Union embassies to the Kremlin that we intercepted. Every name that Joe McCarthy ever called and said, that's a commie, are confirmed in Venona cases. Every darn one of them was a commie.
No kidding. Because, bro, he said he threw some names out there.
Looked up. The
Venona Project, maybe?
Cables. Cables.
I looked up Venona cables, and this is the only thing that came up. And it's right around the same time during the Cold War. So
no, this was declassified in the 2000s.
Well, hold on.
It should be on the FBI Black Vault.
Check it out. This sound no, this is some sort of invention or something. No, this is it. Soviet espionage in Australia. Public disclosure. Yeah, this has to be it. All right, let's check it out. This is gnarly, bro.
The GAO, the Government Accounting Office, did a thing back in the late 90s or 2000s, and they calculated it up and said you could buy a U.S. congressman for like $2,500 or a U.S. senator for $5,000. That was the average price to buy one. Yes.
That's sad. That's wow. That's I was thinking the number would be a whole lot higher than that for whatever reason.
Yeah, you'd think, right? I don't know, they're whores. They're cheap whores.
Bro, you took I almost called him something, but I was going to say I was a gentleman, but you went on. You took it there.
Well, I'm not.
So, yeah. All right, here we go. I know you folks can't see this, so I'll try my best to help you read through it. The Venona Project. The Venona Project was a United States counterintelligence program initiated during World War II by the United States Army's Signal Intelligence Service and later absorbed by the National Security Agency that ran from February the 1st of 1943 until October the 1st of 1980. It was intended to decrypt messages transmitted by the intelligence agencies of the Soviet Union, also the NKVD, KGB, and GRU. Well, that's the same thing. Initiated when the Soviet Union was an ally of the U.S. The program continued during the Cold War when the Soviet Union was considered an enemy. During the 37-year duration of the Venona Project, the Signal Intelligence Service decrypted and translated approximately 3,000 messages. The signals intelligence yield included discovery of the Cambridge 5 espionage ring in the United Kingdom and the Soviet espionage of the Manhattan Project in the U.S., known as Project Enormous. I've never heard it called that before. I was talking about I'm a dummy. Some of the espionage was undertaken to support the Soviet atomic bomb project, and the Venona Project remained secret for more than 15 years after it concluded. Some of the decoded Soviet messages were not declassified and published by the United States until 1995. Dadgum.
Yeah, some of them went until the early 2000s. And the ones that's about all the commies that McCarthy was right about.
Bro, they had spies in a lot of operations.
Yeah, they did. Our State Department was eat up with them.
Hey, this Klaus Fuchs guy had something to do with the Manhattan Project. So yeah, that's right. He was the spy. That rascal.
Look,
another German for you.
J. Edgar Hoover gave a report to Kennedy when he first came into office. Kennedy. And told did it to Eisenhower and Lyndon Baines Johnson as well. And all three of them said, yeah, I'll look into that, and didn't do a damn thing about it. Gave goods on just about everybody in the State Department was commies.
Kennedy did. Kennedy allegedly tried to do something about it, but
Kennedy didn't do squat about it.
Well, I mean,
he was going to, and
they deleted him before he could.
Yeah.
He raised hell, though.
J. Edgar Hoover gave evidence that the CIA and the State Department was eat up with commies, that they were totally infiltrated. And they just, Eisenhower said, yeah, I'll look into that, and tell them, get this dude out of my office. Went on about business.
Bro. The commander of the Allied forces, like, that was surprising when I first heard that. The commander of the Allied forces, for something like that, knowing that communists inundate our politics.
Well, you have to understand that FDR was a commie. So was Harry Truman. FDR's vice president.
Eisenhower.
That Wallace dude. I wouldn't bet my behind on it. Let me put it like that.
Come on, man. I like Ike. He was an atheist.
Teddy Roosevelt, but he's Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And you know what that family was into?
Yeah.
I'm telling you. You got to understand that there wasn't nobody in a flag rank. Let me explain how it works in the military. If you're an officer, you have to go through a congressional hearing before you get promoted. They're politicians. Don't make no mistake
Well,
about it.
no, bro. That's why they can go to West Point. They can go straight from West Point into the officer program and go out on the battlefield leading men who have been from.
Yeah, and how do you get into
Triad
West
Marine,
Point?
all
You
that.
got to have a congressional reference, or have a parent that had won the Medal of
The
Honor.
alumni, yeah.
It's like this. FDR's vice president, his first vice president, had to resign because it came out that he was a card-carrying communist.
Yeah, I know.
And so was FDR. There wasn't nobody getting made a 4- and 5-star general back when he was president that didn't, have the same flavor as him.
Yeah, I mean, well, for the person who created Social Security numbers and all that stuff, and it's kind of obvious.
It is what it is. I know people don't want to hear that or believe it, but it was always.
Whoops.
And that's why when you have something like this, they had no choice. They had no choice but to take it to the corporations and get it out of the military chain of command, to keep it.
Eisenhower's the one
Congress's
that warned
sides.
about the military industrial complex.
Yeah. Wouldn't he
problem
just,
with-
if he was a commie? Oh, we
biggest
don't have
problem with
control
him, bro-
over this no more. The corporations has got it. You got to put it up here where we can, transfer this to them Ruskies.
My biggest problem with him is let's say he is a communist. That's second to the fact that he sold us out to fallen angels. Let's be real.
Yeah,
He sold us out to
100%.
fallen angels, bro.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Like that, the dentist that he had to go visit.
We had a treaty. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
He sold us out, bro. I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's too much
course.
evidence to the fact, and there's declassified documents that practically state as much.
Yeah.
That's messed up, bro. So, allegedly, he did. So,
Sure. That's right.
Yeah,
Allegedly.
it's been alleged by a lot of people with a lot of sense. So, but he did say he would. Y'all let me on the Area 52, Area 52 or whatever, or
It
else.
was Area 51. He's his number 2 guy up there, and they told him, "You don't have clearance to get on." He said, "You know who sent me here, right?" The president of the United States, the commander in chief, and they said, "We don't care who sent you.
Yeah, we don't care who
You're
sent
not.
you. The
You
man
don't
who
have clearance to be let on this base." He said, "Okay."
They
He
probably
went
called him a
back to his
boy, too,
hotel.
bro. He said, "Go
He
back
went
up
back
there
to
and
his-
tell the president, boy."
He went back to his hotel and he called Ike and he says, "They said I don't have clearance to get on the base." He said, "You tell them that if
said,
you ain't
"What?"
on that base, yeah, if you ain't on that base today, I'll be there Monday with the big red one, and
Big
we'll
red
dig that
one.
son of a bitch up out of the ground, and we'll see who's got clearance."
With them in it. He
Yeah,
was serious too, bro. That wasn't
they
the
knew
first
it.
time
He went back up there and he told them that, and they said, "Well, come on in."
Yeah, well, I don't know who told you that. They must have been drunk. Come on in here, Mr. President. I'll make sure they're reprimanded forthwith. Hell no, I didn't say nothing like that. I wouldn't admit to it. That's Ike Eisenhower, bro. That's why it's so disappointing. You know what I mean? Like, I remember being a little
Yes, I
kid
do.
and learning World War II history. And, bro, him and General
How could you
Douglas
not look
MacArthur,
up to him?
Admiral
Oh,
Douglas
MacArthur.
MacArthur, bro. My grandpa had a pipe just like Douglas MacArthur's, bro.
He was
And I
a hell of a
remember he
man.
gave it to me. Yeah, I walked around with that for about 3 years with nothing in it.
I think
That's
Douglas
one of those
MacArthur
Mary
is
glasses.
about the only one of them, him and Patton, that wasn't commies.
Patton, for sure.
You know they weren't commies.
That's probably why they put them over there in the butcher's nest.
That's why Truman fired him. Truman told him, "You stop before you get to the
Well-
Yali River," and he said, "I'm not stopping till I get to Beijing,"
Yep.
which they didn't
That's
call it
hardcore, bro.
Beijing back then. Back then they called it Peking. Back then he said, "I'm not stopping till I get to Peking." And Truman said, "Oh yeah, you are. You're fired."
Oh, really? Oh, really? But then you learn about Eisenhower. Man, it makes you think what other kind of dirty shit he had going on.
I'll tell you right now, that granddaughter of his is crazy as a Bessie bug.
I think he was too, bro. You got to think he grew up in North Texas as a rank atheist. He was an atheist.
Yeah.
So somebody don't believe in God. Even old boy Albert Pike said they need to be the first ones to go. That the atheists and the nihilists need to be, the Christians and Satanists need to witness them destroying everything in America. And that would be the catalyst to say, hey, wait a minute, let's get these guys out of here. And then the Satanists would turn their into us, and they would worship Satan openly after that. The real power on the block, as Manly P. Hall called them.
I'll be honest with you, Q-Bot. I would agree with that, except for one. We did elect one president, the one they're trying to put in prison.
Henry Ford gave cars to the German.
He certainly did. He got an Iron Cross. He was awarded an Iron Cross by Adolf Hitler himself.
Henry
for
Ford gave cars
putting in
to the
plants
German
over there to
Coca-
build their cars and their tanks.
to the German Coca-Cola. Henry Ford gave cars to the Germans. Coca-Cola would drop drinks from an airplane to German troops.
Mhm.
Yep.
There
You
was
know
such
what
a
they
big
called it
stink
while I
about
was
it.
over
In
there?
fact, they said you got to stop giving them Cokes to these German troops because these American soldiers are seeing this and they're getting pissed. So they stopped giving them Coca-Cola and made a drink called Fanta Orange and was giving that to them.
Welcome to the BDRP Late Show with your host, Merle in 187. Took the words out of my mouth again.
I was answering the question.
I know. Well, next time throw it up so everybody can see it, so it don't look like you're just talking madness.
I can't throw it up.
Exactly, because I'm the host. Yeah, you can. You can throw it up. You got to hit the show button over there in the chat.
Ain't one.
It won't let you do it?
Nope.
Well, guess what? I can. What was that other question? Because what did he say? Something about who was the best president?
No, he said we haven't elected a president. We haven't really elected our president in years.
Sure, we did. The mob was they were American citizens when they got Trump, or not Trump, but JFK in there. Technically, I mean, for real, they were American citizens. They put in a American president.
Yeah.
What's going on, LUJ Rexshon? UJ Rexshon. Get it.
Yeah.
Beat it, creep. Anyways. Yeah, we did. We put in JFK, I believe. If you don't believe that those Italian Americans who helped us fight the Nazis, mind you, were good, decent-hearted men and women that were proud to be Americans, and I just don't know what to tell you. Oh, Lucky Luciano was an American patriot.
Yeah, they hated old Mussolini's guts. Volunteering to go kill him. Mussolini.
Oh, yeah, old Moosey.
Yeah.
What they call him, El Duce?
El Duce, yep.
Yeah. Hell yeah, they hated his guts, wouldn't you?
And they did Castro, too. He took their
yeah,
casinos.
because, I mean, yeah, he took their casinos. If I had to invest in all those casinos, I'd be mad about it myself.
Nathan's talking about the Opal Blitz. Yeah, I knew my grandfather Opal that was made in the 80s, and it was put out by Ford.
Did y'all know that Ford made money from the German company Opel Blitz during the war? Built during the war. The company that made the trucks for the German army.
Mm-hmm. Got a better one for you than that. Did you know not only Ford, but Chrysler, and even Chevrolet had factories over in Vietnam making stuff for them? And in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s, there was this Russian pilot defected with one of their brand MiGs, and all the guys in our Air Force was just like, yes, they couldn't get their hands on it. Well, when they get out there and get their hands, guess what? It's made with parts from Northrop Grumman and Boeing and all our. They didn't even have to use a set of metric wrenches on it. They could use standard American sockets and wrenches, take the whole thing apart.
We were on the hills of the industrial age. Wasn't nobody trying to miss out on a buck?
No.
I mean, that's crazy. He was taking over the entirety of the German-speaking countries, and shortly after that, every place else. Yeah, that's a lot of people.
Why do you think during the Vietnam were allowed to bomb?
Well, I heard why did not think.
I said, why do you think during the Vietnam War, we were allowed to bomb their capital
I don't know. You tell me.
because Chrysler, Ford, and all them other companies had factories there. Didn't want their factories being bombed.
They had factories there though long before the police action in Vietnam.
Care what they had there. I got a problem with what they had there during and after.
Yeah, I mean they, like you said, they didn't blow up the Capitol, and that's where they put all those factories. So, but I'm sure that had nothing to do with it. That was just happening.
Yeah.
That was
it's
just
a
that
go
just happened to be-
coinky dink.
Oh, coinky dink. I'll tell you what, man. All that adds to naught because in the year of our Lord 2024, at some naval base, they could, I guess they got to be bringing it up from the ocean. Everybody's seeing these crafts come up from the ocean and whatnot. I mean, you remember 10 years ago, they kept talking about the sea labs that we were building? Probably about 15. And there was about a 6-month period where you couldn't, sea lab. Everybody was talking about these sea labs and they'd show designs and whatnot, but I don't ever remember them showing up the interior of one. Do you? It just kind of went away. So they told us about them, but that was about it. And they were showing like the chambers that would catch the water and how they could send crafts from that base underwater.
You remember the movie Abyss, don't you?
Yes, that movie. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. That movie tripped me out. I was watching it with a 12-year-old mind. Just keep that in mind. So I haven't seen it with an adult mind.
Well, you know, some of the technology that they talked about on that is real. Like the liquid helium breathing apparatus that they use at extreme low depths.
Steven Spielberg directed that movie, didn't he?
I think he did.
No. It was that other dude.
It was one of them.
It's always
Cameron.
James Cameron.
Cameron, yeah.
Because you know, he's a CIA op too, in my humble opinion, allegedly.
Look, there was a declassified program now called Skynet back in the 60s.
Yep.
And that's what it was based on.
That, and I mean,
loosely.
I don't know how loose, bro. Think about that movie that came out. They just had the sequel not too long ago with the big blue cats, where the dude transferred his consciousness into the body of one of these.
Avatar.
Avatar. Did you go see that in theaters?
Yes, I did. The first one.
Yes, bro. That was the best 3D I've ever seen since. Shit looked like it was actually like floating around in the theater with you. I mean, I've seen every Marvel movie, and it's okay, but that CGI was something special. He's always technologically ahead of every other director. That's why he didn't make that many movies.
Yeah.
Even that movie when they filmed it was something spectacular. He filmed that much underwater in the scenes that he shot and whatnot.
Well, you remember when we were talking earlier, I was telling you that they cracked that back in the 50s.
Yeah.
It was actually, it was the late 40s, but it didn't come around to the 50s. You can go back and look at those old Popular Mechanics magazines, Popular Science magazines from the early 50s. And there was something like $1 million reward if you could solve the anti-gravity mystery. I mean, it was all they talked about. They talked about it at the time.
Thank you, Brother Matt.
A fellow named T. Townsend Brown cracked. He figured it out. He went to they used to have these big science fair things that was put on by Popular Science and Popular Mechanics. They were the ones that threw these big fairs, and he showed up with his little thing and showed them a little metal disc flying around. Super fast. And it was like, what is? Next thing you know, there wasn't no talk in them magazines about anti-gravity anymore. That $1 million reward was gone. And anybody that talked about anti-gravity was trying to sell, they was committing fraud, and they was trying to sell you a perpetual motion machine, and they would debunk it. In the space of 1 month, it went from, we'll give you $1 million if you can come up with this, to that don't exist. It's not possible. And then he just disappeared.
That's crazy.
It was filing all kind of patents and everything, and he just.
So we had this technology way back in the 1950s.
Yes.
In only America. I could see it from the 50s to about like the early 90s, but I'd be extremely surprised. And you say I'm wrong, but I'm surprised that China doesn't have something.
Well, I understand that you are, but I'm going to explain something to you. I've told you this before. I've told a lot of people this. Back in 96, well, 92, let's say, everybody in China was riding bicycles and poop hole in the ground. They didn't have farming.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. But that doesn't mean that the government didn't have the money, bro. Look at what they do to them now.
Yes, it does. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. They couldn't even make a rocket to put a satellite in orbit until Bill Clinton transferred the technology to them.
Let me explain something about China to you, if I may. The Chinese government, it's not a reflection on what they do to their people. I mean, you know, the aristocracy over there is just as rich as it is over here. And they're paying.
There ain't nothing about them being rich, D. They can't keep the lights on in their cities all day.
They don't want to, bro. They were
Sure
welding
they don't.
people. Listen.
Sure they don't.
All right, hold on a second. They were welding people shut in whole high-rise buildings and gating off cities so people couldn't get out during COVID. Do you honestly believe that they're worried about paying their workers a fair wage? All the resources that they have access to and all the stuff that they make for us that we buy from them, you really think they don't have money? Come on now.
I'll tell you
know
something
better
that's
than
going to
that.
shock you. That
seen
people in
werewolves
China
in
have a
big-
better standard of living than we do.
That's not a reflection on how much money they have, though. They're robots. They walk around with the same haircut and the same features. I mean, call it what it is.
It's
They're
simple
coming.
as this right here. The Chinese could make a rocket to put a satellite in orbit in the 90s. Bill Clinton
that's
ordered one of our generals to go over there and take them technical data packages so they could make rockets to put satellites in orbit.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, damn. Touche.
They just now got to where we was at in the late 30s, early 40s. They don't have.
That's racist. It is racist a little bit, I guess, huh? I didn't mean to
It's
say
not racist. It's a fact.
No, that cat's talking. Never mind. It don't matter. I'm a racist, didn't you know? Welcome to the BDRP Supernatural, the home of old-fashioned racism. No, but listen, you know, because we're in the 21st century, and there's a lot of different feelings on things, and I want to say this in all seriousness. If I've hurt anybody's feelings or offended anybody from the bottom of my heart, I sincerely don't give a shit. Anyways, moving on. I think China has money. They just hold it up with a handful of people. Look at the Lee family. That's one of the 13 bloodline families of the dragon.
Have you seen the things where they build entire cities in the middle of nowhere in China?
Yeah.
Entire city. And then you just go take all these people and move them off the land and put them in these new modern cities. And they don't know what to do with it. They're like,
well, they were welding them shut.
What's this? The toilet flush. What's this?
Well, there are a lot of Chinese folks in rural areas that don't have modern amenities and everything, but that's neither here nor there. Did you see when they had crazy floods over there in some city? It's not, one of their biggest cities, but this family filmed how they were coming on top of her roof of her apartment building, making out that it was like crazy big winds, and they yelled cut and got down off the roof. They didn't actually go into the cities that were being flooded out. They went into another one that had some high winds.
Yeah.
They're crazy over
well,
there.
you can look at the sea and weather stuff where the dude's out there standing in water, this talking about this, that, and the other, and there's people behind him just right past him, and they're only in water about that deep. He went and got the ditch.
Yeah. So they're not too, bro. They treat their people like cattle. They're not too worried about it.
That was right here in America that I'm talking about.
Well, they
had
did the same thing
one
in
of the
China.
people out there in a kayak going like this right here, like they was, you know, going around showing what was going on, and a dude comes by him with a bag full with a 6-pack of beer in it. Just bebopping right past him.
I want to have a slight intermission. I want to publicly thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It was truly supernatural. Whatever the it is he's talking about, that's awesome. He's publicly thanking the Lord Jesus Christ. I thank him for the first 2 miracles he does every morning. I wake up, air in my lungs and beats in my heart. We serve an awesome God. Better than I deserve.
Amen.
I'll tell you what, though. I found a potential illegitimate son for myself or Merle. I think it's Merle's, though. But this kid was giving him what fur. And I'm going to show it because, I mean, there's no reason not to. This is a Christian channel. For all who don't know, our new subscribers, we are what you would call rated R Christians. You may hear us say some swear words, or we may even inaccurately tell somebody something, bringing it up from memory. But one thing stands true. We are born again believers in the Lord Jesus Christ with an indwelling of the Holy Spirit in power. And we're praying men. We pray for a lot of you. I pray for all of you guys. We pray for a lot of you individually who are going through a lot of things. And we've seen God's hand moved in supernatural, powerful supernatural ways. I'm talking about people being healed from sickness, life-threatening sicknesses, a litany of things. And that's something I don't do often enough. I thank the Lord Jesus Christ for allowing me to be a part of that, for being a soldier, even though we get peppered. That's all right. I like it. Damn them demons, is what I say. And everything they believe and everything they want to do. Their evil machinations.
Yep.
I was looking for an amen. There's mainline Mitch. Thank you. We got one soldier of God in there. What's going on with y'all?
There's been several people saying something similar. Cubot said God was with me all the way.
No, I'm giving him a hard time. There's a lot of soldiers on this channel. Be a good soldier in the Lord Jesus Christ, so that we may please him who called us to be a soldier. Isn't that what 2 Timothy says? But I'll tell you what, though, brother. The quote Hank Williams, there's a mighty battle coming, and it's well now on its way. It'll be fought at Armageddon. It shall be a sad, sad day. I don't see it not popping off. You see what Israel's doing? They got red heifers over there, and they're flying in more. Every Muslim would be obliged in every single country on the planet if they did that. Of course, that's right in front of the Dome of the Rock, bro. That would be the entirety of the world and all the countries rising up against Israel, because there's Muslims in every country, damn near, and that's a very sacred thing to them.
And lots of people have pointed this thing out. They don't need the Dome of the Rock to make the third temple. That was not the side of the third temple.
No, they don't need it at all, but come on now. You think they're going to let it stand?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they do. They better relax, slow down a little bit. Question. D, what do you think about the solar eclipse coming soon? I think it's a beautiful thing. It's God gave us the constellation for signs and times.
Signs and proceeds.
Yep. So I think it's a wonderful thing, especially since it's coming into its totality over our country, the country that says in God we trust, one nation under God. I think it's phenomenal. Now,
well, I'll tell you what.
You see a lot of rank devils and all these nasty witches killing poor little animals and throwing them on altars and the cleft of the rocks and all that stuff. But that ain't got nothing to do with why it's happening. Their gods can't even control the constellations. Them little G gods they pray to.
Tom Jankowski says, I need healing from this paralysis so I can do something besides pray.
Wow. God will do it, won't he?
Yes, he will. I'm going to tell you a little secret, brother. I was told I had about 6 weeks to live when I was 19 years old, and I'm 52. I had a tumor in my head. And every time I go to the doctor, they say, you got to go have the surgery or you're going to be dead within a year. And I say, okay. And I go home. And I don't go see that doctor again. But I was put just about flat on my back for 5 years. I couldn't walk around fishing with my kids. My foot went thick. I wound up having a heart attack and had all kind of trouble. I couldn't walk around my house without my foot bleeding. So I was literally flat on my back. In the last, 6 months, the Lord's healed it.
Praise God. How
Hey,
awesome is
D.
that?
Me and he's talked about it, and we prayed about it together. And I tell you what, I'm going to put you on our list, and
Yep.
we're going to start praying for you.
We
I
absolutely
wrote
will.
your name down.
And I tell you what, though, bro, it was more than just that, Merle.
Yeah.
Merle's been on the channel since day one, year one, back on the old channel. And that was 10 years ago, almost 9, something like that.
Yeah.
I'd never talked. I mean, I don't think we've talked through email before that, have we?
No, we'd never spoken.
Which is crazy because I remember, like, I talk to you all the time in the chat, and I reach out to people a lot, but we never talked personally. And then one day I'm looking through the comments, and I see one of Merlin's. I remember taking a screenshot of it, and I showed it to you just so I'm not making myself a liar. I don't know what it was about it, but I took a screenshot. It was like a lot of comments you make. Hey, great show. You said I really like this guest. You should have him back on. And that was the gentleman that I think lived on the mountain with the UFO activity. But in any event, the Lord told me in that moment when I read that to reach out and said, that's your new co-host. And, he's our daddy. I mean, all right, Pops. And I reached out and said, hey, would you like to be my co-host? And the rest is history. And
about 3 days before that, I had prayed to the Lord and said, I'm tired of being stuck here at home. I'm ready to get back in the fight, Lord. It's time to put me back in the fight.
Yeah.
And I prayed. And I said, I've asked you for contracts, for jobs, and for situations my whole life. I'm done with that. I want to do what you want me to do, but I'm ready to get back in the fight. Within 72 hours, me and Dee was talking. And it was on the show.
Yep.
That night.
And it's like, it wasn't like meeting somebody. It was like reconnecting with a brother or an old friend. Or the stuff we have in common could be a show in and of itself.
Yeah.
I don't even like talking about it. It's eerie. It's creepy. To the, look at there. Ula card resolved, 30 days sober. All right, man.
Praise
God bless
God.
you, bro. That's awesome. I hope he gives you, continues to give you that spirit of courage so you can march on, man.
The Lord can take it away from you.
Yep. He's the only one that can, in my opinion.
You want to take it away from me?
I've seen AA people, AA and NA folks that go to those meetings or whatever, go in there drunk and high and going up there getting chips and making speeches. But it takes God to get off junk in a real way. So yeah, man, that's awesome. I'm proud of you. That may not mean much from an old Okie like me, but I am. Won't he do it? I mean, he's just awesome. But folks, this man right here, my co-host and friend, my brother in arms, y'all have no idea. Me and this cat are close, but he's so savage. And he reminds me so much of myself. There's been times where I asked him, like, are you me from the future or something that God sent you down and make like, and for a while I thought it was like Tyler Durden, you know what I mean? Like I had to see DW, Dark Waters, talk to you and all that. And I was like, okay, it's not a figment of my imagination. There are times through my early 30s, bro, I thought I was going mad because I'm seeing monsters in the woods. I'm filming them. It wasn't until about 1,000 people saw my first piece of footage that I brought back from Brown Springs. And we're like, oh, well, you're crazy. You're walking out there without a gun. I was like, okay, I don't need to be put away anywhere. So Howard Hughes lost his marbles about 31, 32. Around the same time.
Yeah,
I was
people
going out
do.
there in those woods. Yep.
Well, that's when schizophrenia usually said right about 26, 27.
Oh yeah, bro.
Between there and
26
5.
and 31, 32, something like that. I know all about it because I looked all that stuff up when I saw that Bigfoot for the first time crawling like a spider.
Yeah. I don't like to think about that.
You know, I told you off air, and I've never said it before in the whole time that I've been steering the wheel at the BDRP. I hadn't said it to a lot of people in private, honestly. But the first piece of footage I got out there was from that day. Remember, I've told everybody. I guess nobody ever really asked about it. But
Yeah.
I went out there under the auspices of getting B-roll footage for that creepy Halloween contest at North Central Texas College when I went back to school. And I got a lot of footage. And I remember coming home after seeing all that. No, that was from the one whistling. And then there was one in bushes, like moving. It looked like people moving around in there. I came home and I saw that. And my daughter and the other kids saw it too. But it wasn't until another adult came in the room. And I was filming behind me, just walking with the camera as high up as I could. I'm 6 foot. I was filming behind me, and you can see one of them jump onto this little animal trail that I was on, and then jump back in the. I don't understand why I did it. It seemed to make no kind of sense, as far as it being stealthy or whatever. But it jumped on the trail and it belly crawled for a few feet, and then kind of slithered back into the high grass. And I looked back like 10 feet later, or 10 paces later. But I when I saw that, now I knew everybody else did. I smashed that tape.
Imagine.
I don't know who, somebody got it
Imagine you
and
did.
put it back together and taped it up, but I smashed it again and threw it in the trash can. I didn't want to, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, I didn't want nothing to do with it. If there's monsters out there,
I blocked
no.
all that stuff out. I grew up with them, and that werewolf creep thing I saw, I blocked that out till I was in my 40s. I didn't tell nobody, not even my wife, about it.
Yeah.
I tried to convince myself that I was hallucinating.
Absolutely.
When you see stuff like that, it ain't like you hear a lot of these people talk about, that there's some forest friends, and I was, thought I was in a Disney movie. Because that's just not what it is. They're not our friends. They're monsters.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
But yes, they are absolutely, positively, beyond a shadow of a doubt, monsters from mythology and folklore. Everything you read about it as a kid, going to the library, reading about these Greek monsters and monstrosities, that's them. They're the wild man of the woods in Great Britain.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Well,
They're in
you
Vietnam.
you can read the old stuff in any culture, and they had temples to them in town. So they just came through and run them out.
Well, Enkidu from the Epic of Gilgamesh. Enkidu was absolutely one of these things. He was the some sort of a badass hunter, like another person we know of in the Bible, and covered in hair, covered his whole body head to toe in hair. You know, the Book of Jasher, and I may be wrong on this, correct me if I am, but the Book of Jasher talks about Tubal-Cain the second, I believe, and his grandson went out hunting, and the Tubal-Cain the second was old and like feeble, and his eyes were going bad, but his grandson was young. The way it described him, he was like a teenager, and he saw what this book describes to be an animal or game, and he shot it with a bow. And it wasn't until they walked over to it and looked down upon it that they saw it was Cain. So that makes you think, man, like God marked him so nobody would kill him.
Yep.
I want to do the etymology on that word in Hebrew. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's very interesting. Maybe he marked him so man wouldn't look at him and immediately think he was man. You know what I mean? Like there's something to that. And it just struck me as being true. And I know the Book of Jasher is a part of the Apocryphal. But just because it's a part of the Apocryphal doesn't mean it's not inspired. A lot of people make that mistake.
The books from the Apocrypha were in the King James, the Bible, for over 200 years.
Until what, 1880s?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, first, second, third, fourth, fifth century Christians, they quoted it just like they would the rest of the books, like the minor or I don't like saying minor, major prophets, but the books of the prophets. Because if you're getting prophecy from God, unless you're Daniel or Elijah, then yeah, you're a prophet of God. Those two need to be specifically named, if none of the other ones.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. What do you think the vehicle that Elijah ascended into heaven, what do you think that was? Do you think it was an actually like heavenly chariot of fire? Or was it a vehicle?
I'm going to be straight with you. It was a vehicle. It wasn't a chariot that was drawn by horses. Chariot was just the word that they used for a vehicle. Anything that was a conveyance at that time was called a chariot. He does what he sees. It didn't sound like no chariot being pulled by horses. Ezekiel, when he saw that, what they call wheel in the wheel thing, that wasn't no chariot.
That wasn't a UFO either, though, bro. Because it said that it said that the bottom of the wheel touched the ground, and the top of it touched the top of the sky. I believe in Ezekiel's case, he was allowed to see into a higher dimension as clearly as we see the dimension we live in.
Well, it's the dude coming out wearing a helmet.
A guy wearing a helmet.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's exactly what it was. That it was some kind of flying conveyance, a vehicle. There's a
I believe it was a spiritual being.
That's where I was headed with this. Some of them are. There's a word you pick up in the Strong Concordance called Merkaba.
The Merkaba, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And it's an angel, but it can transform itself into a vehicle.
The Ophanim too. The Ophanim are the wheels, I believe. Something that always, and this is the argument I use. It talked about wherever the will went, the spirit went. And wherever the spirit went, the will went, because the spirit of the angel was inside the wheel. That's what I'm saying. These were I believe what you say, that it was some type of vehicle, but think about it.
You can look at the Renaissance painting.
Hold on, let me finish real quick. Ezekiel was very, very descriptive. The whole book of Ezekiel was very descriptive, down to the point where archaeologists can look at dates and places and go to and actually dig some of this stuff up, and they have. So, well, let's read it. Let's not sit here and speculate. You folks mind if I read a little bit of Ezekiel? I'm sure you don't.
You can take a look at Renaissance era paintings, and they're painting anybody. They're going to tell you it's a UFO.
Of course, it was a UFO. Bro.
People have been seeing these things since back in the days of Samaria, ever since man's here, and I believe that's what Ezekiel saw was one of those things. So you can believe what you want to believe. But that's what I believe.
Well, I mean, I believe the Bible, and when I read it, you'll see what I'm saying, because he doesn't only see, everybody stops at the so-called vehicles, but what he saw was the gods of the people where he was captured pulling the throne of God. And it goes into extremely descriptive detail of that. That's why I say that he was allowed to see into a higher realm, higher vibrating
I'm not
frequency.
disagreeing with. Have you seen the modern footage of these things that people are calling vehicles morph and change? And all kind of weird stuff in the sky?
Bro. I have one personally sent to the old channel. I just found it today. I was going to put it in the short. Yeah. And it looked like there was something inside of it too. Is what was
Look
crazy
at those
about
Renaissance paintings. They show you people inside of those things, kind of weird creatures inside. It looked
like some sort of morphine, gelatinous, glowing thing, and it had lightning going through it, bro. It was weird.
Yeah, make no mistake. I'm not saying that they're all nuts and bolts crap. I believe many of them are. Some of them are, but not many of them.
Well, see, now
I
you're
think
speaking
a lot
my
of
language.
Them are those. I mean,
even the throne of God
is what it
is said to be. It's said to be a living thing. It's a living creature of some sort. I was reading something.
The Ark of the Covenant. Ark of the Covenant when we were studying the other night.
Yeah.
It didn't call it a what, it called it a who.
It referred to the Ark of the Covenant as an individual, as a person. He.
Yeah. And Ark says that who goes
Yep.
by whose name is the name of God.
I can't believe that man put his hand on put his hand out to catch the ark when it was going
It
across
was in
the
his
threshold.
house for a long time.
I wouldn't care if it was there for 1,000 years and I lived to 2,000. I wouldn't put my hand to that. It's the Ark of the Covenant. God said, don't do it. Don't touch it.
I'm with you. But, you know, familiarity breeds contempt. I mean,
Familiarity breeds contempt. David was mad about it too. He thought the Lord had done wrong. But guess what? Lord said, don't do it. Period. It's
well, he
that
got to
simple.
find out who was right, didn't he?
Bro, I wouldn't have reached my hand out there to catch it. I'm sorry. Aaron's rod and the tablets and everything would have been on the ground for I'll reach my hand towards it. No. That's why they put it on them donkeys and just turn them loose.
Yeah.
We talked about that too, though. David should have brought those Levites.
Yeah. I mean, God didn't stutter when he told them how to carry the Ark of the Covenant.
He
They
gave them
knew
very
how they were
specific
supposed to be
instructions.
doing it.
Yep, but they didn't.
Yep.
I mean, and it falls on David. But not bad mouthing David. He's one of my actual heroes.
I
Because they
understand
they-
why he
They
did what he
proved that he
did.
lived, you know.
Yeah, they took the Ark of the Covenant and didn't strike them dead. They sent it back to him, and he sent the closest people, said, "Go get that thing and
Yeah,
get
the
it
closest
home
soldiers.
down."
Yep. Don't be
I
messing
get
around.
that.
I understand that too, but I would have said, "Hey, you wait
But it was
a couple of
stupid.
days for these Levites to get there, though."
Yeah, you go get that thing to the nearest place you can and stop and wait for them Levites, and we'll do this that way. And
No
he
kidding.
wound up doing that eventually. After it's too
After his good buddy had to be laid low, but that was all on him. He should have reached his hand out there. I mean, this thing's flying over. You got to think. I grew up reading about the Ark of the Covenant flying over battlefields and stuff.
yeah, it would go out before them and whip the enemy.
Yeah, the Ark would actually whoop the enemy. That thing, I think that was a power station. Portable power
No,
station.
that right there is how you need to watch that Bible study on altars. That's exactly what some of one of the things they are. They're a power station.
So, see, the Lord showed me that, bro. Nobody told me that. That's just what it's. Why did the Egyptians take it?
Say that again.
Why did the Egyptians take it?
The Egyptians didn't take it.
Or what did they use it for? They had it.
No, they didn't have that one. You may have had something like it. I don't know that that's
You don't
proven.
think they have
People
the actual Ark?
speculated that. But the Ark of the
Well,
Covenant
the
was
Bible
made
says that-
after they were led out of Egypt. So Egypt never had the Ark of the Covenant.
They say that. Well, you know, they say a lot.
Yeah.
But they say that they captured it at some point in time.
No, they didn't. It wasn't the
I
Egyptians
promise
that
you,
captured
I
it.
could do what? I know
That
they
was
didn't,
not
but,
the Egyptians.
I know it wasn't them that captured it biblically in the Bible. What I'm saying is there's a theory out there in the ether somewhere, Merle, that says that
Oh,
the
I heard the
Egyptians at some
theory.
point in time have the Ark.
Had an Ark of the Covenant, and that's where Moses got the idea. I've heard that BS, and that's what it is, BS. There's
Well, you
no
know
proof
what?
of that.
One thing I do believe in Egypt is that empty tomb. I think it's in the Valley of the Kings. Don't quote me on that. But it has Tutmos inscribed over it, and it's empty. It doesn't have any of the personal belongings and the artifacts that they would put in there. And when the archaeologists found it, it's like it was brand new and they just shut it. I think that was Moses's tomb.
I don't.
Bro,
And I'll go you
well,
further than that. That Tutmos
I'll
that's
show you-
inscribed on it is not inscribed the way that they do anything else in any of the other tombs, and there's no petroglyphs in anywhere or what's called hieroglyphs. It would be the only tomb that didn't have any hieroglyphs in it or anything else.
like he sealed it up before it was finished. That's what I'm saying.
I'll tell you what I think it is.
I'll send you a video before you do that, because this archaeologist goes through great
I've
effort to kind
seen
of prove it.
I've seen some of that stuff.
He makes a very, very valid point, in my opinion, when he does the timeline on it, timeline of events. But he could be wrong. Who knows, you know?
That inscription that's on that Tutmosis inscription, everybody that's looked at it that knows anything said that was scratched on there later. It wasn't put on there the way they made stuff.
I've heard that too. I don't know. I don't know Egyptology. You know what I mean? I thought that was pretty cool.
I know this
pretty cool theory, because that proves that he was in Egypt. You know,
I've seen a lot of stuff from Egypt and from South America with all these people they call cyclopean stuff and things of that nature. But I've seen those things, and you can look at the inside of that box you're talking about, and you can tell that we used to use in aerospace today and measure it, and it's perfect. The corner perfect 90 degrees in each corner, everything's the same thickness all the way.
But so that
made with
high
tech tools, and that Tutmos looked like a kid come up there with a hammer and a chisel and just gouged it in there. Like
no, it don't look that bad. It don't look
yeah,
that
it does.
bad.
I've seen
It
close
really
up
don't.
pictures of it. It really
I
does.
have too on that document. In my opinion, it don't look as bad as a kid chiseling it out. But just because it was made with high tech equipment and tools doesn't mean that it's not ancient. Look at the pyramids. You really believe
nobody said it wasn't ancient. What are you talking about? Nobody's saying that that's modern. I just said it wasn't made with the same everything else in there was. The level of workmanship's nowhere near the same. When you look at something described on the level of workmanship is not the same. Every other hieroglyph you see is imprinted in there, like they took a laser and burned it in there, or a CNC machine and routed it in there. This ain't that.
Well,
what you're talking about was gouged into it.
Say it again.
Inscription you're talking about was just gouged into it. That was put there at a later date. You can tell it wasn't done made with the same kind of tools they were using.
All right. I mean, I agree to disagree. Dead air. Bro, this is all I'm saying. It was in a pyramid. Pyramids were made allegedly over long periods of time. I don't believe that, but you can go in one pyramid and find many kind of cutouts that they had made over the course of thousands of years.
Exactly. But the ones that were made when they made, you can tell a big dang difference between them. Just like you can down there in South America. When you look at all that stuff, you can see the stuff that was made when that was made, and then you can see the stuff that the people that came after them put on to it.
Well, that's a valid
I'm
point.
saying.
I believe it could be broader than that, but that's just my opinion on it. And it ain't the hill I'm going to fight and die on. But my whole point was, wouldn't it be cool? Because that's further evidence that Moses actually was in Egypt, because that was a big argument at one point in time against Christendom, is that Moses never was in Egypt. At one point in time, they tried to say there was no true Hebrew slave.
They try to say that. When I was in college, they told us there was no Hebrews.
Yep. That there's no empirical evidence to say that there was, and blah, 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 blah. So
and then you can go right on in that textbook and find the Hyksos. That had the exact same description. The Hyksos. That was their slaves. They call it Hyksos. And guess what it means? It means the exact same thing that the word Hebrew does. People from across the river.
Yeah, that's them. People from across the river. Well, what's wild about that is all the rest of the tribes of man that change name over time. You know, they can, they know the etymology of the words, and they don't try to supersede that point.
You had a lot of people back in 18 that was into that spiritualism and follow Blavatsky around that had no intentions of admitting that anything in the Bible was true, and they said about Italy trying to disprove it. We're still dealing with that. It's the same garbage that they was talking back then. They're
There's
talking today.
Nothing new under the sun. And what's crazy, it's not even the same garbage, the same actions and everything. They say there's no God. They say that the spirit world isn't real, and that they, bending to the altar of science. But science has changed, hasn't it? Now everybody's moved away from Darwinism because everybody sees that Darwin was a rank devil and a fool. Now it's easing our way into transpermia and quantum mechanics in the quantum realm.
Yep.
Or quantum
Which
mechanics.
sounds eerily like spiritual things.
Well, it's a new name for it.
Yeah.
Because what do they call it? Spooky action at a distance,
Yeah.
or something like that. Where on the quantum level, say we're here and everything goes according to plan. Everything. Everybody stops at every stop sign. Green lights never blink. Yellow. Everything's going according to plan. Then on the other side of that coin is everything's going according to plan except this one thing that sets off a crazy chain of events. That's that spooky action at a distance, from my understanding of it. And that weirdness that'll set off a chain of events. Oh, wow. That'll set off a chain of events. Will,
Good night.
I'm telling you, bro.
People just never cease to amaze.
I'm telling you. I'm glad we got all those sharpshooters as our with the wrenches up there. That's hilarious, bro. BLM, we're gonna have our shirts. We're gonna have our shirts here pretty soon. Be ready for those. Golly. Look, they all come in at the same time too.
What a bunch of goofy son of bitches.
I'm telling you. Where's brother James? Where's brother JT at when you need him? In any event, sorry about that, folks. Got me with one foot off the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Everything was going smooth.
Yeah.
The Ethiopian Bible has 88 books written 800 years before the first European Bible was printed. That's exactly right. The Ethiopian Bible is probably the most accurate Bible on planet Earth.
I tend to agree. And I
think
believe
they brought theirs. It's a whole lot more than 800 years, I believe.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that's where the Ark of the Covenant is.
Where that old man's guarding that shed?
Yep.
I think it's there too, bro. And I saw an interview with that old man. He said he's out. It shows him he's out there at night by himself.
Well, the funny thing is it ain't an old man. They pick a man that's in mid to late 40s or 50s, and they put him in there, and he lasts about 2 years before it burns through him, and they have another man.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. That dude told you, he said, I ain't been here a couple of years. He had cataracts on his eyes, and he said, it's a thing of fear, he said. When he said that, cold chills come on over me.
Those cataracts that he had?
No, he's talking about the covenant. He said, yes, Ark of the Covenant, it's a thing of fire. You can't get around it. It'll burn you up. He said, he had burn scars all over his hands and cataracts on his eyes.
And there's only one person they said out there. And I saw this minister said they keep that man, but the man's just there for something. But the angels are the ones that protect it. And there's people that say angels manifest with swords around that building.
There's been war in that country nonstop for decades.
Yes.
And every time they try to take that place, the enemy soldiers were around it. Every time they toward it, you think they're going to take that area. They seem to just split around it. Keep on moving.
That's crazy. This Al Kelly 2121's right. I think the Ark is high radiation as well. I think it burns, that radiation from that thing. But how did David and his men carry it? Or I'm sorry, the Levites, and throughout
because it was shielded in the Ark of the Covenant, the box that was lined with gold. It's not in that anymore. Right. When it went into battle, they carried a thing of skins,
and they got clear of it.
Yes.
Dang.
They don't have the case that it was in. They just have what.
So them Levites are carried out there on the battlefield and just open her up.
Yes.
That's hardcore, bro. And they defeated whole armies. The Ark of the Covenant itself defeated an army.
Brother, heck, it is a spooky story.
Yeah, it don't get any spookier than that. It's a spooky story that ain't an old man. It's some dude who's like 51 or 53. Because it showed him he had a bow, like a bow stick, and he was just marching around, around this giant shed-looking thing.
And yes, they had to dress a certain way. They had the woman, the thurman, and an ephod. The ephod was a chest plate that was made out of gold, hammered gold, and it had these stones on it. It's all a hoax said, didn't they have to dress a certain way? Maybe gilded. And I just said, yes.
Yeah,
they were ephod. It was a golden chest plate.
It was. And it was made to the specifications that God gave him.
Yeah.
It makes you want to see the material and what it translates to in today's language. Not transliterates, but translates to. And try to build one and get some radioactive material and put in it.
Man, I wouldn't touch it. I wouldn't think about making one of them things. I
Bro,
knew everything is made out of.
I wouldn't try to make a replica of that thing. That was an absolute joke. Are you kidding me? I'd be afraid an angel rip the roof off the house if I even attempted to make something to the specification. No.
Yeah, do you like what Hulk did Loki?
Yeah, an angel come grab me by the leg and just start slamming me on the ground like a rag doll. What are you doing, Doss?
Man.
Yeah, like God told Isaiah, no, I didn't tell anybody to do that, nor did it occur for me to.
Yeah.
I know there's people that have done it, though.
Well, they've done at it.
Yeah, exactly. They
They
made a replica, wink, wink.
Yeah. There ain't enough people, there ain't that many people running kind of gold to build one of them things out of.
No kidding. I'm telling you, as soon as they got the right amount needed and put it on the lift to go to the basement of whatever warehouse they were putting it together in, and that's when heaven opens.
Yeah.
The Lord may not even put them angels through no trouble, you know? He may just go on ahead and get rid of himself. Somebody doing that's got some nonsense on their mind. Would you folks like to see a world premiere video? I'd like for you guys to see it first, because I want to. This is a video, Merle, of the Hell House across the road.
Oh, goody.
And it's that kitchen window. Remember I told you where the thing with the red eyes would come? It was during the day, and this is when the house was actually empty. And it looks like some 7-foot tall person comes. It says, "Ah." Well, I'll tell you what. I don't see how people go in there and just post up and chill like it's a regular house to be in.
What about the individuals who refuse to have this number implantation?
Then they better quit playing bloody games then, innit? They'll get those marks, don't you worry about that. They'll get those marks and they'll be busy putting out the fires on their children's backs. If they ever want to eat some top ramen and drink some cool Mountain Dew again, they'll get those marks on their hands and their foreheads. And if they want to talk tough, then you call the coppers. Call the coppers and they'll put their sticks on their heads. Then we'll see, then they'll comply.
Well, folks, that wasn't the video, but
it looked like a hell house to me.
Yeah, right. That's
From the 70s.
That's from 1982, actually. Pretty close.
Yeah, like I said, the 70s.
I really do have a ghost video, y'all. I'm not just jazzing it. There it is. All right. Play. Doggone it. You're making me look bad. Nah, that's all right. I'll post it. Be all right. Y'all be all right.
Gotta live.
Boy, Bricktop. See, it's all a hoax, as the comment of the night. Another fan of the movie Snatch. Man after my own heart.
I like the one he did right before that, Limbus. We barely knew you.
Hey, look at this. Look at this one in the chat. Says the whoever coming into the chat, right? Gosh, people are retarded, bro.
I think it's funny.
I think it's hilarious. But now I want to go check out a new Bigfoot channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have anything else for them? We're about at our 2 hours.
I can think my voice is about to give on out.
Yeah, we had enough fun for one night. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate each and every last one of y'all. This is it's been a fun episode of the BDRP Late Show, the original Cryptid Late Show here on YouTube. And we'll see y'all tomorrow night.
Before you go, let me ask, it's all a hoax. All
right.
The Gentleman Netflix series, did you watch the movie, The Gentleman? And related?
Yeah, the Netflix series is like a spinoff or something, I think.
Yeah.
The movie The
I'll have to
Gentleman's
check
awesome.
that out, because the movie was awesome. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's one of old boy's best. Was it Guy Ritchie?
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, watch it, because it's awesome.
If you're a fan of his British gangster film. All right, ladies and gents. We will see y'all next time.
Good night, God bless.
What about the individuals who refuse to have this number implantation?
Then they better quit playing bloody games then, innit? They'll get those marks, don't you worry about that. They'll get those marks and they'll be busy putting out the fires on their children's backs. If they ever want to eat some top ramen and drink some cool Mountain Dew again, they'll get those marks on their hands and their foreheads. And if they want to talk tough, then you call the coppers. Call the coppers and they'll put their sticks on their heads. Then we'll see. Then they'll comply.